What's the weather? Too hot! Today, we're going to be learning some Japanese. I say learning, I kind of already know most of this Japanese, so I'm just going to be parroting it to you. But give me a break. We've got some difficult ones coming up. After this, we're going to be doing Finnish, all right? So that's quite tricky. It may not be easy for you. And, you know, this is a two-way thing. We lived in Japan for 70 days. We had a 90-day visa. We lived there for 70 days. We had a great time. We started off in Tokyo, went up to Nagano, went down to Hiroshima. That was an experience. And then we ended up in Osaka for most of the month, or at least we were halfway between Osaka and Kyoto. That was very different from Tokyo. Tokyo is the biggest city on earth, like the most populated city on earth. And you just go, oh, there's a lot of people. And it takes you about an hour to get into the center of it, even when you're still in Tokyo. You're like, wow, there's a lot of people here. There are queues. You pretty much always have to stand on the trains. You do feel like a sardine. Osaka is more foodie and people aren't as skinny as they are in Tokyo, so I fit in a bit better. So I must say in Tokyo, you do get your steps in. And the food, like fast food that you grab, is a lot healthier. So I was eating a fair amount and I was still losing a fair amount of weight. A lot of steps. And then Kyoto is very pretty, very, very busy, very touristy. All in all, it was a fascinating experience because the omniscient today say that Japan and the UK are quite similar in that we're kind of an insulated island. We're very quirky. And I have a theory, and this may be a more widely held theory, but my theory is that when you are closer to people, there's lots of people in a very small area, it's heavily populated. The nuance linguistically and with your body, you become quite contained in yourself. Any little nuance means more, because you don't want to annoy each other as much. I haven't explained that very eloquently, but you know what I mean. Whereas like in America, you have a fair amount of space generally. You can be louder, more exuberant. When a Brit goes, that means something. And there's quite a lot of nuance to Japanese. I would also say I have some background to Japanese because I worked at a Japanese company and they sent me on a course that was working with the Japanese. So I've got a little bit of background in terms of how hierarchical their offices are. It's very much like your work people are your family. That's why you can sleep there and you do not want to be leaving first before your manager. No, sorry. That's changing a bit now. That's totally at odds to the culture of work that I have from a Western perspective. I'm just like, no, I will finish efficiently. The amount of spreadsheets that I had to fill in, they were basically the same information in maybe 10 different pages in loads of different ways, was extreme. In a nutshell, the more work that you give somebody is the more work that you've done. In Western working culture, it's more like if you've condensed it and presented it really succinctly, then you've done a good job. You've done more work on it. Without further ado, let's dive in. Hello is konnichiwa, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. I think you also do a little bit of a bow. Be like, I respect you. Konnichiwa. Some of those things where I can't really do a bridge to it because I know what it is. I'm not going to try to force it upon you. Konnichiwa. Hey, this is a great opportunity for you to do a bridge if you don't know anyway. Konnichiwa, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. I definitely had trouble with Japanese to start with because there's more syllables than I'm used to. Please is either kudasai or onegaishimasu. Kudasai and onegaishimasu different contextually. It's like, please give me that. And then I think one's more polite than the other. All of that to say, kudasai is not used in every single situation. Kudasai. Can you give me that, sire? Kudasai. 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 Again, I can't give you a bridge. I'm the bridge person. Thank you is arigato. Arigato. And again, there's loads of different ways to say please, but the one that you think it is fine. Arigato. Arigato. Yes and no. I have a little bit of trouble with these because yes is hai. Hi, of course. I'm sighing because you don't even need to ask. Hi. Whereas no is yeah. And I think the shaking and nodding is maybe the wrong way around as well, but I can't remember. Sounds too much like yeah. It doesn't necessarily make sense when you see you're welcome is yeah. So you're welcome is no. But actually when you reframe it as no, don't worry about it, it's fine, then it makes more sense. So you've got hi, and I'm not sure about the nodding and shaking your head, and yeah. So this is the English physical stuff that I'm doing. Yes, it bugs me about the yeah. Pronouns are interesting because there's multiple and you can choose it and it depends on what you think each one means. There's a lot of nuance. In English, we just have I. Maybe it's best framed as when you choose ms, miss, mux, Mrs. on your form. Lord, lady. But there's multiple I's, which is weird for me. However, the most common one used for both male and female, though it's kind of got a feminine edge if you use it as a man, is watashi. So as a foreigner, you can go in and just go watashi and you're fine. Just be aware there is nuance in the background. You is another interesting one, which I think follows along similar lines maybe, but in order to be relatively respectful, you just find out the person's name and go san on the end. And then if they say, don't worry about it, just call me blah blah, then you just call them blah blah. But their name and san, pretty straightforward. There's multiple he and she's. There is literal he and she. He is kare, she is karojo, but you can also use anoito for he/she, so it's the easiest to default to. Japanese Unlimited, you absolute star. You've given me 0 to 10. I love it. 10 out of 10. Hey. 10 out of 10. Oh, spoiler. 0, the number, is either 0 or rei. And 0 is more commonly borrowed from English and so on. More modern, more trendy, more widely spoken. Rei is still used like 0 point so and so and scientifically. But literally, they both mean 0. There is context. We're going to do this one way and I'm going to tell you why in a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Did I get that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I didn't get it right. I was actually taught this at primary school, but I can't remember. I get a bit muddled around 5. So it's 1, 2 for 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. I don't think they really did it beyond 2. 1, 2. Then you go 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Now we're not doing she because the she is borrowed from Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese. So we might as well use the Japanese source. But that is why there's a difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I always go 8, 9, 10, but it's 7, 8, 9 according to Japanese Unlimited. And I'm going to go with that over my memories. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's see if I can remember this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was just so keen to know whether I got the 7 and the 8. Okay, hold on. 0, 1, 2, 3. I always go san shi, but it is fine. It's san shi, but we're not learning the shi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive. Sig. 4, 5. 4, 5. I'm trying to do a 3. Rock on. I know Q and Ju. Q, Ju. 9, 10. 9, 10. Q, Ju. We need to get around the 6, 7, 8. Roku, hachi. Wait, no, I've done it wrong. Roku. Like rock on. You do 6. That's the wrong way around for you. Roku. But also I need to learn it anyway. Roku. Rock on. 6. Hey, that looks kind of like a 6 from that side. Roku. Nana. Nana. That's your way around. Nana. Hachi. Kind of like an 8 if I do that at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Wait, no. Nana, nana, nana. Okay, let's do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to trust that I got that right. 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to have to cover these just to test myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Roku for rock on. Then nana, you got to stop it because it's the other way around. Roku, nana, yeah. Hachi for 8, yeah. And then Kyuju. Yeah, okay, cool. Cute and Ju. That was a bit more of a pavlova than I was signing up for. There's 2 ways to say happy holidays and happy new year in Japanese. There's one for pre the holiday and then one when you finally earned it, when you passed the hurdle. But you know when you can't scrub in a video, or just having to redo it every time, and I feel like I'm not giving myself a good amount of time to practice because it's always a long sentence. Yo-yo tosho, have a good year. Yo-yo tosho, anticipatory. Yo-yo tosho. We're going to leave it there just in case I've mucked up. We're going to move on.
We say 明けましておめでとうございます。
Akemashite omegoto gozaimasu. Oh, how to say happy new year Japanese. I've got it written out. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. This is Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Gozaimasu is used a fair amount, so that's fine. Gozaimasu. Akemashite. I feel like I've repeated that one so much, that's okay. Akemashite omedetou. And there's the accent on the O at the end. Omedetou. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Oh, it's a bit of a tongue twister. It's actually a mouth twister. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Doesn't sound very festive because I'm stumbling over it. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. I always really struggle with the Happy New Year's. How do you say goodbye? Hopefully you've come across do not say sayonara because that means goodbye, farewell forever. You can say it as a kid, but apparently as an adult it is quite dramatic and definitive. So for example, if you're leaving the office, you go shitsure shimasu. Shitsure shimasu is contextual. That wasn't so bad apart from Happy New Year. No, it's gone. It's gone. I don't know why you're surprised. I feel like I know everything else and I feel like I solidified the numbers a bit more, which is good. Roku, Nana, Hachi. As I mentioned, around this time next month, it'll be the next language one and it's going to be Finnish, which is going to be interesting. Can't remember whether it's linked to PIE, but it is very different to other European languages, which is very interesting. Next week, we're going down the rabbit hole of why wild annoyed me, so I made my own deodorant. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it and have a great week. See you next time. Shitsure shimasu. Yes, I had to look at that. It's such a long word.